I'm Kat Udane of Foxhole Films.
And I'm Makayla McIntosh of Siren of the Pacific Productions.
We're your hosts of the GateCrashers Podcast.
Coming to you now. The GateCrashers theme is by Derek Graham Sound.
Let it play out.
Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to GateCrashers. So today's episode's a little long, but we promise it's worth it. Today's guests are Zoe Dunay and Aris Federman. Zoe Dunay is a multifaceted artist based in New York City. She is the co-founder and COO of both Blue Oak Productions and Echo Grove Media, two film production companies that are committed to telling stories rooted in truth, serving narrative entertainment and commercial realms of film, respectively. Zoe is also an actor, performing regionally and off-Broadway in theatrical works, as well as many film projects that have circulated throughout festivals, and some of which have landed on streamers. Congratulations, Zoe. Zoe's work at Blue Oak and Echo Grove revolves primarily around producing and operations. With Blue Oak, their mission is telling stories, specifically narratively entertainment, grounded uniquely in the human experience and withstanding the test of time. She's the lead producer on the team and has produced multiple films with the company, including the award-winning Tin Soldiers, which premiered at the Santa Fe Film Festival and is currently making its rounds in the festival circuit. Echo Grove is a commercial production company serving the medical device industry. Their focus is crafting clear stories for critical innovations to be seen, understood, and adopted. Echo Grove translates complex ideas in the medical device industry into narratives that become more accessible for all audiences. Zoe produces various types of media for Echo Grove, from investor videos to mini documentaries. Along with running the two production companies, Zoe continues to act in film and theater professionally. She got her BFA in acting from Pace University. To hear more about what Zoe's up to, please visit www.zoedunay.com or at Zoe Dunay on Instagram. Aris Federman is a director, producer, and cinematographer dedicated to crafting stories that connect with audiences across mediums. Aris co-founded and operates Blue Oak Productions and Echo Grove Media, two sister entities committed to visual storytelling across narrative film and purpose-driven commercial work. Through Blue Oak Productions, Aris develops character-driven narrative films. His most recent short film, Tin Soldiers, screened at festivals across the country, earning the Jury Award for Best Cinematography at the Santa Fe Film Festival. Congratulations, Aris. And recognition for excellence in storytelling at the Manhattan Film Festival. Hello. His work has been featured in Film Threat, and he has appeared on podcasts including Founders Future and Breaking Indie, where he discusses storytelling, creative leadership, and the evolving landscape of independent film. Aris is also currently serving on the jury of the International Arts and Hearts Film Festival. Through Echo Grove Media, Aris partners with medtech innovators and mission-driven organizations to translate complex ideas into emotionally grounded visual stories, from investor narratives and educational modules, mini documentaries, and branded films designed to communicate with clarity and credibility. To Aris, stories remain the ultimate expression of empathy. They have always brought people together, whether by a campfire, in a theater, or on a screen. Wherever stories are told, community forms. Through both narrative and commercial work, he aims to continue that tradition of unity, emotional truth, and purposeful, creative execution. Aris received his BFA in acting from Pace University and attended the Tennessee Governor School for the Arts. Welcome to the pod, Aris and Zoe. I'm so glad it worked out.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I know. I'm so glad we caught you guys.
Yes. And
Well-
on the snowstorm day.
I know, in a
Oh my
blizzard.
God.
I'm supposed to still be in New York right now. My flight was canceled for Monday, and they're like, you can fly out Saturday night. And so I got ready.
Oh, this
in
is why you're in
15 minutes.
different locations.
Yeah.
I'm still stuck
So-
here. I know.
I
I'm
flew off
coming
in an
back
hour.
from coffee with you, Kat, yesterday, and Zoe's like, "Hey, I gotta run. I'll explain." And as I'm walking into her apartment, she's walking out with the suitcase. I'm
With
like,
a suitcase.
all right, I'll see you later.
You're like my
We're
fiance.
Yeah, I was like, no. But
My life.
we made it. We survived.
We did. And
God.
we're all safe from the snow. And
Mhm.
Are you?
treacherous
Where are you,
conditions.
Zoe? Are you in
I'm
Tennessee?
in Pittsburgh. So my family's in Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah. Right. Hence the cookie table. I remember
Wedding
this.
festivities.
Table.
Where I hear the wedding is happening.
3 months away. It's insane.
Congratulations. That's so exciting.
We're so
This is a
excited.
really like fun charged time.
Oh, yeah. It is
Yeah.
like nonstop mode. We are in go mode. We are in, oh my gosh, there's so much to do. I cannot believe that a wedding involves all of these details.
It's producing.
So much
It
fun.
is producing.
Happy.
It is producing.
Honestly, that's why
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, so equipped to build this wedding. I've done short films and films that are like double the scale of this. So I think we can do it.
Yeah.
But
Don't forget day of, out of your hands. Out of your hands. Someone else is going to fix that problem. Your bridal party, that's what they're there for. So, like,
Or your
that's
mom.
just your day.
I was like, it is off of me. I'm just gonna be a little tipsy with a little drink in my hand.
Yes.
Oh,
plan
have
of
a
the wedding.
designated person that gets your drinks for you, or you will never get them, because every time you will try to go to the bar, you will never make it because everyone will stop you. Tip.
Yeah. Low key, I think I maybe had one sip of Prosecco on our wedding. I ate almost nothing and I was prepared. I was like, I hear you don't eat on your wedding. So like, I was
No,
like, let
you
me have food.
forget.
I was so, it wasn't even jittery. It was just the overstimulation of seeing everyone you love in one place was like, and your emotions are so high. I was so,
Oh my
I don't know. Ian had to have a Tums. I didn't take one. And I think my corset was too tight. I thought I was dying until my brother brought me a cinnamon tea. And I was like, you saved my life.
You know, I know.
So you-
Especially like we're having a huge wedding, you know, about 200 people. I have a huge family. Aris has a big family. So like, it's just going to be so many people all in one place, and we're talkers. We love. That's why we're here. We
Yes,
love to
yes.
talk.
We did a
Yeah.
character dining, like meet and greet for our wedding. So like during the dinner, we went around. Like,
Yeah.
so that was why we
Yeah.
never ate. But it
No,
was
that
a
is
nice
smart.
way to at least get like 5. Yeah, we're so Disney, and our wedding was like so Disney for that
No,
time
that's
and
so
how we
perfect.
met.
Riding through,
But
get in line
You
here.
did get to talk to everyone. It was
You
a
do get to
great way
talk
to
to
make
everyone
sure
that
you
way.
had like 5 minutes with at least everyone to say hi, because it's a blur. It's gonna, before you know it.
Oh, I'm so excited. I could talk about my wedding for years, so we probably
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Paris knows.
Let's talk about
Welcome to
business.
GateCrashers.
Aris and Zoe, we are so excited to have you guys. So I guess let's start with you both met as actors, and now you are actors, filmmakers, business owners, entrepreneurs. Let's talk about that journey a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, did you want to take it, Zoe, or should I jump in first?
Go
And
ahead.
we had
I'll-
separate stories, and at one point they intertangle. You know. So went to college with Zoe, Pace University. We both got our BFAs in acting, not filmmaking, a different type of storytelling. And it was through the pandemic when the whole world shut down and creative opportunities around things like theater really stopped, that at least for me, I picked up a camera and I said, oh, well, you know, how can I continue to tell stories and explore interesting avenues for doing that in a time when the world has just ceased and completely shut down?
Yeah.
And then from that, I really had this discovery. I said, oh, I like this more. I like being on the other side of this more. And I think I attribute a lot of that to, you know, when you're interested in storytelling, every high school has a theater department. Most high schools do not have a department for filmmaking. And so it was like a natural evolution. And it was in some of those early experiments and projects that I met Zoe. She was cast in one of those projects. And after that project, our first date shortly followed. Now we're getting married. I don't think this is
Hey,
gonna,
spoiler.
yeah, spoiler. I don't know if this is going to make the cut. We were just yapping about wedding stuff for the first, 20 minutes of this.
Oh, that'll make the cut.
Perfect. But yeah, from there, we got together with a group of like-minded creatives and created Blue Oak Productions, which does narrative filmmaking, documentary, had projects go around to different festivals throughout the country, really oriented and interested in talking about stories that have to do with the human spirit, perseverance, and also something that's timeless and generational. That's kind of where the name comes from, Blue Oak. We like the idea of an oak very firmly rooted in the soil, generational, right? And then also Echo Grove Media. We do a lot of work for brand storytelling and commercial as well, right? So it's actually
And
very
they're
simple.
two separate entities, correct?
Two separate entities, yeah.
Blue
Echo
Oak
Grove.
Creative.
Echo Grove is like all specifically for the medical device industry. Storytelling, which there's a
wow.
lot of stories to be told there. It's, a
Yeah.
place where like life-changing innovations are happening every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so storytelling can live in a variety of places. And I think we do a lot of work individually, as a group, separately, in a variety of sectors, be they highly regulated sectors like medical device or financial, either in-house or through Echo Grove or freelance. So just been a wild journey for sure.
Yeah, it feels
Wow.
like just from knowing you a couple years, it feels like it's avalanched so quickly, which is fantastic. Like I think you're
It's
both
been a
very
lot.
good at saying yes and just kind of moving forward, which is
Well,
really cool to see.
yeah. I think we both really didn't know what we were going to get into when we started this. Aris had asked me to be in a film, and I had taken in high school, I went to performing arts school, so a very different pathway.
Which one?
But I went to CAPA, which is in Pittsburgh. It's called Creative and Performing Arts Magnet School. But when I was there, I was a musical theater major, but I took a history of independent film class. And so I was always really interested in it, but I never really knew. I know it's so cool. It was just a
What
class
a
where
random cool class to
I
have.
know. It was our senior year. It was first thing in the morning. We'd have our breakfast, watch different independent films, even things that started off as independent and then grew to be, bigger budget and with different studios. But it really interested me, and I just didn't know kind of how to pursue it. And then obviously going to Pace, I knew I was going to act, and I still do continue to act. But when Aris asked me to be a part of this first film, I was thrilled and I was really excited, and it was my first time really pursuing film in any capacity. And then obviously through dating, started, to build things together. And I was like, wait, I really like the organizational process of this. I like telling the story, and I like putting the pieces together. It's like a puzzle. And so I've really learned how to blend, my acting storytelling with producing and more of that like logistical work. But yeah, we didn't really know where we'd end up. And, being in the medical device field with film, it's such a cool niche, telling these stories for people who, they don't really have experience in the storytelling process. So we're able to kind of be that bridge for them between, investors or sales companies with the actual device company themselves. So it's really cool, and it's so much fun. And it's fun to work with your best friend.
100%.
Absolutely.
100%. And I think like one of the things that's so interesting for me is whether it is strategic storytelling or brand storytelling or narrative entertainment, the approach is actually really similar because the crux of those two things are actually really similar. When you're creating a narrative film or even a documentary, you're asking like, who does this serve? Like, who is the audience? Who would connect with this story? And you have to do the same thing in like a marketing space as well.
Which is why you're so good at it. It's because
I don't
that's
know
how
about
you
all
see
that.
it.
But I do think like there's overlap there. And I think the fact that we have degrees in acting and then unofficial degrees through the School of Hard Knocks when it comes to filmmaking.
That's a great segue.
No, I love it.
Talk to us a little bit about not going to film school and trial by fire.
I think trials by fire are the best trials. We live in a phenomenal, unique period in human history where information has been democratized in the craziest way. You want to learn a technical skill, you can with YouTube and
YouTube
just playing
University.
around.
YouTube University.
Right? All at your
Absolutely.
fingertips. And so that really greatly, I think, lowers the barrier for entry for people to be able to play around and widens the pool of people who are able to tell stories. And so that's a beautiful and wonderful thing. I think there used to be like, there's always, there's an information gap and then there's an execution gap, as a former professor of ours once said in relation to acting. But I think it applies to everything. And the information gap is greatly remedied by the democratization of information.
I would love to add that, we have all these resources at our fingertips, and we do live in such, an instant world. If you want to learn something, you go on your computer, you learn it instantly. But I think part of the joy in building these companies together and just working on film is like the trial by doing it. You have to work, you have to read the books, you have to keep following up. You can have these resources, but if you don't take advantage of them to their fullest potential, I think that's kind of where, we've definitely learned like, oh, this isn't a one and done thing. You are constantly learning, you are constantly evolving. And even, going to film festivals and going to those education panels or just meeting like-minded creatives and wanting to pick their brain or just be on set with them, learn. This is really a business just about learning and growing.
100%.
Yeah. I think that I think what culls a lot of creatives isn't the information gap anymore, but it is the execution. Because so many people, like we were talking about, Aris, they want to wait till it's perfect. So they learn and then they're like, but I'm not ready to do yet. But if you wait until you're ready to do, then you're so far behind everyone else that learned by doing.
Opportunity's gone at that point.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it is such a bad idea. It is such a bad idea to wait for perfect conditions because they don't exist.
Yes.
And having all the information and knowing how something's going to play out and having everything be perfect amidst the proverbial fog of war that we're in, because this is industry of massive ambiguity, right?
Yeah.
Is such a mistake. Go out, break things, make mistakes. That's an excellent way to learn. I think,
Absolutely.
well, with every project that we do, right, we try and push the envelope a little bit more in terms of the ambition of the story, production value, etc. And every time you finish a project, really proud of it, great, goes to the festival circuit, gets seen, very excited about that. And then a year or two later, you look back, and if there are things about it that you say, oh, well, I would have done that differently, or that wasn't perfect, or fantastic, that means you've grown. And I feel like the moment you stop feeling that way about things you've done and lose your ability to identify mistakes, so the moment you should take like a meditative retreat somewhere, re-find yourself creatively, get recentered, because that's such a core part of it. I also think mistakes and happy accidents are some of the best moments.
Yeah. It's like Guillermo del Toro was just talking about how while they were shooting Frankenstein, they were set to shoot something else that day, and
yes.
And the fog rolled in on the ice, and he was like, get the camera. And,
100%.
Oscar Isaac was I think he was in beard, and he was like, no, he's younger. Here, take the beard off. They were like rushing to get on the ice, and Oscar Isaac was like, we haven't rehearsed this. He's like, just go. They just shot. And the moment has no sound because sound wasn't ready, but they got the shot across the ice. And if you've seen it, you know exactly the shot. It's like so beautiful. And it is, the moment is so heightened because there is no sound. And that was the movie, like that was the moment telling you what it wanted to be, as opposed to being scheduled and articulated and done. And the fog didn't come on the ice the rest of the shoot. It was just one of those magic moments, and those just happen. Sorry, I got carried away.
No, I didn't know that. So thank you for sharing.
Oh, did you not?
I'm going to be obnoxious. So we're actually in New York for a film festival right now that we are screening
the Winter
at.
Film Festival.
Winter Film
Congratulations.
Festival. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
We had a great time, and
With Tin Soldiers.
but like we're gonna go. We have an event for that tonight, and I'm gonna be obnoxious to every person I meet tonight and say, "Did you know during Frankenstein?"
Please,
thank you.
yes.
Give me more tidbits like that. I love it. Conversational ammunition.
Absolutely. Yeah. So good. This kind of seems like a good time to get into Tin Soldiers. And was Tin Soldiers was that Blue Oak's first foray into narrative?
So we've had Blue Oaks, yes. Us as individuals, no.
No. Got it.
There's one project that we played around with that never got released. But so I'd say
that's fine. That happens.
But we had all worked in a variety of ways and freelance on different things and worked together and found a group of like-minded creatives and banded together into our jolly bunch of filmmakers at Blue Oak. But I'd say Tin Soldiers was maybe our first major attempt, and it was ambitious. So the film revolves around children's mental health, and in a way is sort of a coming-of-age story following a young boy named Caius who's going through the mental health system in the United States. And it reflects on him trying to discover what a sense of normalcy feels like and what normal is at a time that's already so formative. And we see this same character through 3 different ages, variety of locations and things like that. And it's been incredibly, the development process. I mean, talking with psychologists and ADHD coaches and, getting perspectives on such a broad issue that we want to distill into a cohesive narrative. That is
Which you did wonderfully, by the way. Film
Thank
is
you. I
beautiful. If
appreciate
it's
that.
ever streaming somewhere, audience, search it up. It's beautiful.
Thank you. I mean, it's a personal story to me, but we didn't want it to be my personal story. We wanted it to be something a little more universal, but at the same time, you have to narrow it to the following of a single individual. And so there was like a lot of rewrites and drafting
Yeah.
throughout that process.
How long
It's
did you
been
take to
done.
shoot?
Oh, to shoot it? 4 days.
Yeah.
4 days.
4 days? How
Well,
many
yeah.
pages?
About 17, 18 came out to
Mm.
about 17 minutes and 10 seconds.
Fabulous.
We love a page a minute. Great rule.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
really.
so it's been going around the festival circuit. We kicked off, it premiered at the Santa Fe Film Festival, and it won Best Cinematography there.
Yeah.
Um,
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's been to like Chattanooga, Manhattan,
Mm-hmm.
and now we're back up here for the Winter Film Festival. So going through the festival run right
Fabulous.
now, and it's been amazing. And that was one of those things that
Very
was
exciting.
like, I think like was such a boon to work with Zoe on, because I was
Mm-hmm.
directing this and she was developing it with me as the producer. Because one, it's I think people have a tendency to get really close to art, right? And so having someone so trusted who I have such a shorthand with, who we can kind of volley and exchange ideas and be like, well, does this work? Am I being too precious about this, etc. Without that fear of judgment, I think is such an immense gift
Oh, yeah.
through a
Well,
process
I
like this.
appreciate that. I also think, we've been on all these panels this week about like different ones, like making your first feature film or, producing 101, and every single one of these panels that we've watched and been on discussions with, they've all said work with people that you like and work with people that you trust. And I think that is, hearing that echoed by other people, it just really reinforces like what we do. And it's such a high stakes art. We're making movies, we're playing
Mhm.
pretend for a living. But we are
Yeah.
really trying to tell stories that are rooted in truth and vulnerable, and people need to resonate with these stories. And
Mm-hmm.
being able to go back and forth with people that you really do trust and know that we're all trying to serve one vision. We're all trying just to make the best possible thing that we can. Sorry, you might hear my dog barking. He
Oh.
echoes the sentiment as well. But it's so important just to work with people that you trust and that you love, and you know that
Mm-hmm.
everyone has the same goal in mind.
1,000. Well, no, I agree with that so much. I think working with people you trust is like such a boon. And as you
Truly.
were speaking, it kind of made me think that, you know, this is an art form where you were right, Zoe. Like, this is a high stakes environment. But this is such a high stakes environment, like you were saying, Zoe. People are underslept, they care deeply and are passionate about their art. And so to succeed, it's not just about your technical skill set. It's oftentimes much more about your ability to communicate and your ability to interact with people. This is a personal art form, and it is a
Mm-hmm.
team game. It is a team game. And so making sure that everyone is taken care of, making sure that everyone sees the vision. Like, as a director, your job is you are the great connector or conduit. You're not meant to be the best camera person in the room. You're not meant to be the best sound person in the room. You have heads of departments for a reason. Trust them. But you are there to make sure that all of the work that these departments are doing individually is cohesive to a unified vision. And that comes with communication and also humility as well.
I was just gonna say, you never wanna be the best person in the room, like, you always wanna just surround yourself with people who are so fantastic at what they're doing that it just, like, amplifies your vision, and it makes the whole process really a joy. When you're working with people who know what they're doing, who love what they're doing, and they're good at what they're doing, it just makes everyone feel so calm and so at peace, and you're like, "Yeah, I'm telling a story, and this is fun, and it's supposed to be fun." We're all working really hard, and that's we're serving the vision, we're serving the story.
I think is something that's always been conceptually important, but I really witnessed it on the project that we just wrapped. It's called 2.5 petabytes, and we're in post production for it now. And that was a film where, just a fantastic group of people, and we had so much communication, um, about what this thing looked like beforehand. Everyone had come in, we had run through it, and there was so much trust on the day that the machine ran. We ended early both days. We encountered problems, and it was like, all right, so how do you pivot? And in those environments, doing that before work, and that before work, not just shot listing, etc., but building a rapport with everyone you're going to be with
Mm-hmm.
makes or breaks things. Makes or breaks things every time.
Something that we talked a lot about with Tin Soldiers originally, because we did all of the producing not in the city that we were shooting. We shot in Memphis, Tennessee. Aris is
Yeah.
from Memphis, and so we had been at a few of the locations before, but 90% we really had never visited. We hadn't met a lot of the cast and some of the crew in person, and so we were doing everything from different places, Zooms at random hours to, accommodate everyone's different time zones. But
Talk
something that we
about
just asked-
trust.
Yeah. Making sure everyone's
My hands were shaking. My hands were shaking like a week leading up to. I won't lie to you. My hands were, everyone was amazing, but I was like, "What?
Yeah.
I'm insane. Like,
We're
why are we
crazy.
doing this?"
I mean,
Yeah.
that's the only reason we're in this business. But,
Yeah.
the thing that I asked everyone to come into it now, it's kind of been my motto and the way I love to produce is just asking everyone to come in with a sense of play, be ready to experiment and have fun, but also be ready to pivot because there are going to be times that you have to change courses. There are going to be shots that weren't going to work because we thought we were going to be in a different type of space or we thought the window was on the other wall. There's just so much that you just may not be able to prepare for in the moment. So just be ready to pivot and don't be, Aris, you're saying don't be too precious with anything. As long as it's going to tell your story, that's what we're focusing on. Pivoting is so fun. And I love to pivot and find, it's funny little, it's an opportunity.
That's your theater coming out. That's your live theater.
That's the
background coming out.
That's the yes and.
Yes.
Yeah. Rigidity is such a detriment in those situations on stage and on set when something goes wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, it's when the magic happens. It's in those random opportunities that you never thought were going to happen. There were so many of those moments on the set of Tin Soldiers that we were like, oh my gosh, this works out even better than we could have thought.
Yes.
And
Can you think
of
of one off the top of your head? One like
Oh my God, I mean,
magic
there are
come
so many.
together?
Well, I don't know if you have any examples, Aris. I can let you speak, but I also
I've
have a
got
few.
one off the top of my
Go
head.
ahead.
One day, weather wasn't cooperating with us, and so we had wanted to, it had started raining profusely, not something we were intending to do or capture, and we had a couple shots outside that we were intending to get, and we ended up pivoting and recording them through a car outside with a camera and a light set up with under the trunk that was put up as like a rain shooting through a window.
Yeah.
And we were just like, all right, so how do we do this? And I just like, we had amazing people, second unit director, John Park, and DP, Drew Seals on there, who were so great at, helping us pivot with that. But the final shot, the rain coming down the window is just so tonally correct.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so
You couldn't have planned for that. Yeah.
No.
And so like looking at that, there's two ways you could have looked at it when it happened. You could have gone, no, God, we're all,
Stay
we're
shut.
all gonna die. Or say, okay, well, not just what do we do next, but does this present any opportunities? And so looking at it in a glass half full way, or having an opportunity mindset about every shift, because
Yeah. Oh, that
I
is
also have
so
an
right.
example about, this is more in the post because I do a lot of like the festival planning and that whole process. And,
Kudos.
we,
Yes.
oh gosh, we,
Come on, film
We will get
freeway.
into that in a moment.
oh, I am sure we will. We talked a lot about, this film, it's such a big topic. And we really wanted to make sure it was a story and not a documentary, not something that, people need to learn from this. We hope that you do.
100%.
But our main goal is telling a story. And, we got to the final scene, which in the final cut, it's this really beautiful moment that's all underscored with music that our composer, Matthew Bloom, who's also a part of Blue Oak with us.
Who's also amazing, just good guy.
Yeah, awesome. But he composes beautiful music, and Aris actually is in this part of the film. He acts.
Have a
and
little cameo.
it's-
Ooh,
we have just
yeah.
one line.
Never
in it.
again.
Yeah. But this scene, it was a fully written screen. It was educational. And in another world of the film, it could have worked really well. But we were really trying to get it down for festival timing. And we're like, we can't cut anything. We can't keep cutting. But then we looked at that scene and we're like, what if it's just like one pivotal line and that is it? And it's just this really beautiful music. And we have some, subtitles of different facts and figures about ADHD that do the work of the actors speaking. And it cut out all this dead time. And we were able to cut off like 3 minutes of the film just by doing that. So even
Wow.
after the producing or after the shooting, being able to look at it from that editing perspective and from okay, we have to cut this down so that we get into festivals. We've already shot everything. What do we do now? Looking at those unique ways to pivot and, see, why don't we look at it in this new light?
Yeah.
That was, it's really helped us in our festival run, just cutting it down a little bit.
I think
Yeah,
one of the
and-
things. No, go for it.
Well, I was just going to say, and when you think about it, 3 minutes is half of a shorter film that might be in the block.
Yeah.
Yeah. It could be a full short.
Yes. So, okay, how can we make us desirable for programming?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Aris.
Well, I was going to say, like, on two different things. You're entirely right, Kat, about even art is a business, and festivals have to put butts in seats, and they have to, they want to they want to showcase filmmakers, and so they want to showcase as many films as they can with the time that they have, which is a wonderful and noble thing, and they want those films to be seen. So you really got to ask yourself, is your 20-minute short as strong as four other shorts, four other teams of filmmakers who get an opportunity? And like
And to bring
that goes back to
people.
not being precious with it, right? Like you gotta really, because everyone's baby is beautiful. Everyone thinks their baby is the most gorgeous baby.
I'm
But
thinking of like those TikToks that are like the pregnancy hormones, and I thought my baby was cute, and a few shorts are like that.
Balding old man.
I have not seen that.
Everyone's
I'll send you one.
Our phones are listening to us, so I'm gonna get on
It's me your whole feed now.
It's my whole feed, just pregnancy hormone. But like, everyone's baby is like the most beautiful baby, right?
Sure.
But you got to go back and not be so precious with it. I think not being precious with it is an important aspect. Like going back to the example,
That's how you
Zoe just
grow.
gave. Yeah, but like
Yeah.
if we were so bent on keeping the script the way it was and said, this is the thing that we've meticulously, we wouldn't have made those cuts at the end. But the cuts, sometimes you write something and then you direct it and it looks good on set, and then you get into post and it doesn't work as well.
And the movie's made in post.
The movie is made in post.
Yeah.
It was breaking the rule of don't, show, don't tell. And it was telling, the audience at the very end kind of how to feel. And I think this is a unique story where it's an exploration of a system. And in it, there's a ton of people who are trying to help. The psychologists and psychiatrists in the film are trying to help. Kai's mother is trying to help. Kai's is trying to help them help him, but everyone's missing the mark and there's no good communication happening. And so it's a story without a clear antagonist, and it's more an exploration on gaps in a system. And that's a unique sort of thing to portray. And I think it's one of those things that really requires giving the audience space to sort of form their own opinion at the end, whatever that may
Love
be.
that. Yes.
So we had to, chopping that out was a fantastic and great memory on that one. I totally, you had Kat asked that question and I went right for Rain, but that's a fantastic.
I remember just being in, our editor's studio at probably like 2 a.m. and we're like, we can't keep cutting this. And I was like, wait, but wait.
What if we cut it all?
But it did teach us a really valuable lesson, especially just in evaluating the festival circuit, because now our next film that we're in post for, it's like a 5-page script. It is short and it's probably going to come in very under 5 minutes. And so it taught us that lesson of like, how you're saying, Aris, show, don't tell. We are showing. There's very minimal dialogue. And when it is, it's earned. Every moment in your story just has to be earned. Nothing can be in vain. Nothing is egotistical. It is, you want people to resonate with it. And the only way they'll resonate is if it's reality and it's truth. And so that has been something that has been really important to us in all of our projects now moving forward.
Well, I think on that, Zoe, you mentioned how there was like a learning moment for festivals in this, and it just made it occur to me, distribution is not like post. Distribution is pre-production. You have to know who your audience is. You have to know what festivals you're aiming at. Where does this thing live? Not every film is right for every festival or every channel. If you're making a short, it's not going to get bought up by Apple or Tubi or. And so you have to know what you're making, and you have to say like, all right, well, we have very specific goals for this story. And we think this is where it lives. And then you build your marketing materials, elements of the story, well, staying true to the story you're trying to tell, right? But optimize it for that trajectory.
This circles back to why you are so good with Echo Grove as well. It's because you both also have the business mind to know the art is worthy and this is how we share it. You're so good at putting those together.
Well, thank you. I mean, I think there's like a crime that's happening around the country, which is that so many arts education programs, regardless of whether they're, whatever field, don't do enough conversation about the business side of it.
No business class.
None.
No business class.
And then you move to New York and you don't know what you're doing. Like, because you had to show up to class for 4 years and they gave you an audition book and that's it.
Yeah.
I just that out.
for like whatever showcase or portfolio or this in many cases. And our university our program had we had to take business for the BFA actor, which was phenomenal. Very helpful.
I
But
think
like
that
a lot
class
of,
changed my life.
but there's like a lot of, no one's telling you, you're running a film set. You got to hire people. How do you do your taxes for that? And
Thank you.
and
You
Oh, yeah.
YouTube University and like leaning on like, resources and like, oh, well, you need permits, you need insurances, you need,
And those are things you can't mess up.
yeah,
That's a place in the school of hard knocks. If you
that,
mess up on that, you're going to pay a big fine or you're not
Yeah.
going to be able to shoot. Like those are things that you have to learn and you have to make sure you research those and that the execution gap, that there is none. Like there just can't be because or else the project might not be made at that rate.
Aris, speaking of that, you had said that your Tin Soldiers was non-union. Your next two shorts have been union. What are the main differences coming at it from contracts, checking all the boxes? What are the
100%.
differences in pre-production for that and post?
Well, I mean, I think it depends a lot on which agreement you do with SAG-AFTRA. One of the beautiful things is from the outside, it can seem really daunting, but like the union wants you to succeed. And the union wants you to be able to do this correctly. And so in larger agreements, you have like a dedicated rep who is working with you. In smaller agreements, those resources are publicly available. And you can email anybody there. I think some of the pitfalls is, at times figuring out exactly like what you can do, what you can't do so that they don't surprise you.
Yeah.
A lot of it, like we're talking common sense, like people need breaks, they need to be fed, they need to be paid. And like, so not that stuff, but things about like, for example, if you choose an agreement, if depending on the agreement, there might be restrictions on where you can stream the film. It can be used for showcase only. It can be used for, and so that's not something you want to be surprised by once you finish shooting. So you want to go back and like make sure you have all of those things and those ducks in a row. And so I think it just adds, even if you're non-union, you should really be doing these things anyway. There should be fair mutual agreements in place. There should be, an avenue for people to get paid and insurance in place and things like that. So if you're doing those things already, it's not that much different. It's just going through different channels. And so as someone who was like initially like, oh, this sounds like logistically it might be a lot in my earlier, I'm only 26, but like in my earlier sort of years, it's actually not as daunting, and it's one of those moments where I'd say like that leap. There are phenomenal performers out there, and the union does want you to succeed.
I'd also like to add on that we really did try to run our non-union sets with some union rules, in terms of the time between breaks, in terms of the amount that they had to be fed. Like, especially being actors ourselves, we were already very aware of that. And all that they were trying to do is create a safe set with a guideline, And so as long as you're doing those things, you're making sure that everyone is safe. If there's anything, like we had to use contacts on one of our shoots for Tin Soldiers, and so we had agreements and we had doctors. Like we worked with all the people that the union would tell us to work with because we did our research. You know those things beforehand. You research it. You go in and you do the best that you can. And so as long as you follow those rules, and you just want everyone to be happy on your set and you want them to feel safe so that they can create their art. So 100%. I've loved working with the union. I think it's been really fantastic. And I don't know why we would stop at that point,
Yes, it's not a scary thing. It's just an email and figuring out new paperwork.
Yeah.
And also there was a lot of really wonderful mentors. We had one, Sean, who we worked with at Pace, and he FaceTimed us and he's like, okay, these are things you need to know. And there's a lot of people in the industry who are like that, who just want to share their knowledge.
Love them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it goes back to, I don't know.
They're the GateCrashers. They're not.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. That's full circle. Loving it. I mean, I think one of the things too about, I mean, this is a bit of a pivot. And it's like not the best segue, but I have a mind that's always jumping all over the place. I think these skill sets and like being business oriented, and sometimes that has to do with like agreements and legal and things like that. And sometimes that has to do with like basic understanding of like marketing is inseparable. So when you're doing work for either, for example, whether it's something from Med Device or something James Beard or something like in house, like full-time position, doing video or digital marketing producing for a company, storytelling is valuable and being able to take that storytelling and translate it into a space, and being able to take that storytelling and translate it into maybe like a more corporate space, and be able to communicate with a variety of different types of people and translate those skill sets is so important. Strategic storytelling is not going away. I think about, and these things are synergistic, right? Because strategic storytelling and brand storytelling, they're stretching your muscles. It's giving you oftentimes opportunities and resources to tell stories and things, and to really create fantastic stuff in alignment with, your own narrative work, right? They can be mutually beneficial and coexist in that way.
Yeah, it's sharpening your skills.
Sharpening your skills.
I
And then
would
being able
love
to
finish. Yeah, finish your thought.
No, I was just gonna say, and like, the people you're gonna talk to, whether if you're doing narrative filmmaking, you're gonna talk to a lot of business people.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
are. And if you're taking your skill sets into maybe a corporate environment, or you're working with a company, like, you're gonna be talking to a lot of business people. It's
Yeah.
part of it. And
Yeah.
that's not a bad thing at all. It's a wonderful thing. It's meeting people where they're at. I think people of all environments love storytelling and see the value in it.
Yeah. There's a reason why brands are pivoting into narrative storytelling.
Yes.
Yeah, many
Absolutely.
documentaries, everyone from Coca-Cola to Nike, because it's no
Yeah.
longer about what you sell. It's about the face, the ethos, the community you're building. I think Red Bull is a fantastic example of this. They're not giving a photo of their energy drink because they don't sell
Yeah.
caffeine. They sell adrenaline, right? So it's all stunts
Yeah.
and like it. I mean,
Sell
the
the
world's
life, live in the lifestyle of the product. And the best way to do that is through telling a story. You can't sell a
Oh, yeah.
product and say, oh, here are these sneakers. These are these sneakers.
Yeah.
No, people who are running marathons are using them. And then you watch their
Yeah.
story. They've been training with them their whole lives. Like when you see stuff like that, you're like, maybe I can run a marathon.
Yeah, I want that life. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you
Absolutely.
guys seen jewelry brand Alexis Bitar? Does it phenomenally.
Yeah, write that
Okay.
down.
A couple years ago, they came out with think it was the first one was for like a holiday ad of this wonderful, her name is Patricia Black, actress, older woman. And it turned into these like street mockumentary style, hilarious videos of this woman just decked out in Alexis Bitar. They never even mentioned the name of the brand, but her bags, her jewels, everything she is wearing is Alexis Bitar. And it's just this Upper East Side woman running around New York and eccentric and fun. And they don't say the name. She's just decked out in it. And it makes you want it.
It
It's
is a
such
piece of
brilliant
lifestyle.
marketing. Oh, yeah.
That's phenomenal. I'm gonna look that up after this. That's really
Yeah, I'll
cool.
send it to you. I'll send you some of their stuff. So fun.
So for you guys, I'm sure you didn't just like wake up one day and were like, you know what I would love to do videos for? Med device. Or maybe you did. Maybe you got an epiphany in your dream. When
That would be
did you get
crazy.
into this? Yeah, right. You're like, I know what we need to do today, Aris.
I love. Oh, is that a Phineas and Ferb reference?
Yeah.
Oh my god, amazing! I don't know what they're called, Ferb heads or whatever. I don't know. Ferb
I
fam.
love fan
I
names.
love Phineas and Ferb.
We're gonna call it.
But I'd say, for us, we were doing Blue Oak Productions and doing a lot of commercial work or brand storytelling work with a variety of people. And we had sort of happenstance stumbled into medical device, which is a highly regulated industry.
Mm.
Have been doing many documentaries for some companies and training content and things and cinematic stuff. And the decision to split off into Echo Grove and to have those be two separate entities is also born out of storytelling, because if you're a good storyteller, you have to tell your story as well. And so to be doing narrative entertainment, to be doing medical device under one roof, right, from a branding perspective, I think is a little muddy. Yeah, and especially like these are industries where you're doing work that is highly regulated under the FDA, under all sorts of different restrictions. And so you need to have proper attention paid to those things, and you need to know the landscape. You need to know what the different funding rounds are, and to be a good partner. And so it wasn't just a change in name. It was also building out new processes and structures and research into an industry, saying, okay, so how can we actually tailor the offerings here? How can we tailor how we tell a story here to be of most benefit to a specific niche?
It took a lot of research. Anything that we do, we want to do to the best of our ability. If we're telling a story about med device, we need to know as much as we can. And how Aris mentioned, the funding rounds, that, yes. And, how do these processes work? How do you create a product like this? And then after you make the product, where is it going next? It was a lot of research. And I also want to talk a little bit about, the word networking is sometimes seen as a bad thing. But I was on a panel the other day and they were saying like networking is a gift. Networking should be coined as a really great term because it's essentially people talking to each other and sharing, how can I help you? I want to help you. How can you help me?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of, how we kind of got into this field with medical devices, we met someone who, was already in that field. And he's like, you did such great work for us here. I know these people who really need some help.
Wow.
And so it's a pathway and it's a journey. And I know I mentioned earlier in the podcast that, we didn't know where it'd end up. We never would have guessed 6 years ago when we started dating, we'd own a medical device film production company. But
What?
it's one of those cool things about evolution and, using the resources that you have and building upon those. And so I know we've both really enjoyed being in the medical device industry, and I have family who is in the medical field. And so being able to, know a little bit about, not very much. I am an actor through and through, but, getting a little bit of that insight, it helps to inform, how we're going to handle our processes moving forward.
100%.
What were some of those initial conversations? And I'm sure you kind of had to pitch yourself to these brands or to do these commercials when maybe all you had to demonstrate was your narrative work, or how did you even start all of this?
I mean, it's one of those things where I would not undersell the value of narrative work. I wouldn't undersell the value of what that might mean. If you have portfolio, you have portfolio. And obviously the goal is to get there and to create portfolio that is akin or similar to what you're aiming at. But if you don't have it, you take that and you say, this is where, people comes into play and being able to communicate an idea comes into play. This is where you say, watch this. Okay. This is how we translate that into your needs. So you have to do a little bit more work to bridge that gap. But also at the same time, if you have the resources, go make spec stuff. Well, go to your
smart.
interest. Yeah, like you don't have to. You can make a spec ad for whatever you want to do just on your own, or you can go and do something for your community. Find like a local small business that's adjacent to the industry you want to be shooting at, and say you're not looking for this, right? Maybe it's not something that's in your budget right now, but I will make this for you for free if I can use it and have full like portfolio rights and everything. And that way you're helping someone out and they're helping you out. Do that.
When you are, what you're doing, you're trying to tell a story. You're trying to get people to feel this thing. You're trying to get people to do this. When you say that's just telling a story and you give your pitch and you explain it in those words, it sometimes makes them think, oh, maybe I do have a story that I'm trying to tell, and it gets people excited. And I think one of the joys of working in this industry with Aris is we're able to share our love of storytelling, and everyone who we've had on our sets really ends up loving the process, whether it's interviewing different people or if it's, capturing their product, they end up getting really invested and they really love the work that they're doing. We were able to sell our skills. We tell a story, we do it well, we're able to provide you with X, Y, and Z, and we'll be there every step of the process for you. When people have that trust in you and when you're confident in yourself and your product, it ends up being less about like, oh, well, are you able to tell me about how my medical device product can blah, 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 blah? It's just, okay, let's work together. Let's see how we can make this a reality.
Yeah, I also think like, a lot of people, depending on every company has a really good idea of the story that they want to tell. They might not just know exactly how that translates, right? So, so much of it is listening. You're also dealing with a lot of times like marketing people. Marketing people, they're storytellers by trade. So they know what they're doing, and so it might seem like a daunting jump. Sometimes it's not as daunting as you'd think it would be. There's a commonality in language there.
I was gonna say it goes back to the just start, just do it. You don't know how to begin. Okay, begin. Take one step
at a time.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think, again, when you're doing these like pitches for things, people come in and they think, oh, I have to sell myself. No, you need to be listening and asking as many questions as possible, because this is a space for the person you're talking to express their needs. And 9 times out of 10, people get giddy. They go in, they're like, we can do all this. We're good at this, that, and the other. Look at all the shiny stuff I've got. But because of that, you end up touching on things, missing marks, not addressing concerns. So like anything, 90% of it is just listening and asking questions.
And people want to work with
Yeah.
people who feel heard. They want to
Yeah.
feel that love. They want to feel, again, we've talked a lot about trust today. They want to feel trusted with their product in your
Mhm.
hands.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Love that. And, you're balancing this narrative side, this commercial side. Does the commercial side kind of give you the ability now to make more narrative projects, like whether it's funding wise and having, marrying those worlds together? Can you talk to us about that world?
I think there's definitely okay, so we've definitely taken moments where we've had the creative side and the commercial side and used some of the commercial side to be one of the funding sources for a creative project. Like we've done that a few times and that's been a wonderful, sort of gift and experience. Like I said, you can take the storytelling skill set and you can apply it to a variety of places. I think, there's so much nobility in taking that skill set and being in-house somewhere or on salary somewhere or freelancing or entrepreneur or taking all of those things and maybe putting them together and doing multiple of those things at once, right? Because taking care of yourself and having your basic needs met and then taking what's left after that and putting it towards creative projects nourishes your ability to actually feed that creative goal. I think the starving artist is this idea that people feel like they have to attain, right? You have to suffer for
Yeah.
your art. And I think it's the opposite. You have to be brave enough to take care of yourself so that your art can exist in a healthy way. You know what I mean?
Ooh, love that.
Yeah, I want to touch on the ways that being in a more corporate setting has helped us also in, our narrative work. I think
Mm-hmm.
logistically, because my brain is mostly the logistics one. We have learned about how to schedule a really efficient shoot. We have learned how to use those, the marketing materials that we might, do with a more corporate client. We see, okay, how can we translate that and use that in narrative setting so that we can make a pitch that's really explicit. Like we know exactly what we're trying to tell and we do it really efficiently and smoothly. And so, I think they've both really funded each other. We've taken a lot of the storytelling and put it into the corporate, but we've also taken a lot of that logistic business brain stuff that you
Yeah.
need to have. And you really don't get experience to work with before working in a setting like that. We've taken that and applied it to a narrative setting. And I think that's why, the festival circuit and things, that's something that's really exciting for us. And it's something that we
Yeah.
love to explore because we can view it in a more business mindset.
Now, okay, you
Mm.
mentioned being able to structure a shoot more efficiently. Can you give us some tips and tricks for anyone listening? What are some things that you do differently now?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's time is money. Time is a form of currency. And so if you are going to have people on your set, you need to make sure that they are being used. They're not being overused or underused, but everyone feels really taken care of and you are doing it in the most efficient mindset as possible. And for us, one of those biggest ways is making sure everyone comes in prepared. That's a bit of, a little bit of that rigidity that we were talking about that you don't really want to have, but you need preparation. You need to have all of your ducks in a row before you can even begin to think about shooting. And so we really make sure to have as many pre-production meetings as possible with all of our heads of departments. And then those heads of departments inform anyone who might be working under them, or we have the heads kind of get together in their own categories. We just really make sure that everyone knows what their expectations are going in. Everyone signs contracts before we begin. We have agreements. We've make sure that everyone knows all of those givens, how much they're being paid, how much they're going to be used, the days that they're going to be used. Just making sure that we can be as clear and efficient as possible and explicit as possible for them. It gives them a peace of mind and it also gives us a peace of mind because everyone is very clear on what they're expected of when they walk onto one of our sets.
I also think it's like learning to advocate for yourself, right? Has been a big thing. Like in these corporate environments, everyone typically we've seen as very well-meaning, but they might not have the same understanding or skill set of what is needed, right? So they might not understand, I might need to see the space before we shoot. So they might not schedule that, right? So you need to, things like that. So further developing your ability to advocate for what is necessary in the craft and then being able to justify it is something that's also valuable bringing into an on-set environment. I think sets require the feeling that there's someone with a calm disposition leading the ship because everyone is there and they want to succeed and they want to know that someone has a plan. And if there's a sense that the person at the wheel does not have the plan, people jump
Yeah.
in and in a well-meaning way, but they
Yeah.
jump
Yep.
in with their ideas and then it starts to unravel. So being
Mhm.
able to listen and understand, but then also advocate in a way that respects the story or aids the story in a respectful way. is Something that I think is maybe something personal I've taken from some of these environments that's been a great benefit.
But something, and it's a little bit of a segue, but going off of what you said, Aris, collaboration is just so important on a set. And I think whether we're in a corporate environment or a narrative environment, we really try to be as open with our team as possible. If there's anything that they need, we ask that you come to us. We want that open sense of dialogue so no one feels like they need to be anxious when they're on set or they're not prepared for what's going to happen. If there's any issue ever, we always say at the beginning of our meetings, like, we are open books. Come to us. If you need anything, you have an allergy that you don't want to share, tell us. Anything that you may feel like, oh, I don't need to share this. It's not really important. You just need to have that open sense of communication because it just creates really an ease to everyone, and collaborating with people, again, that you like, but also people that you've never worked with before. Like, sometimes you just need to set that out in the open because sometimes people don't have as open of a mindset, because there's a lot of different types of sets out there, and there's some that you'd love to return back to, and there are other ones that, might not be for everyone. And so we always just want people to come onto our sets and be like, hey, we're going to have a good time. We're going to talk. And if there's an issue, we're going to address it. But we're adults. We're mature. We're, again, serving the vision of our film, our project, whatever it is. And so as long as we're all there with that same mentality, we're going to have a great time.
I think building on that, like it just goes back to people, right? The film's going to be as good as the work that people do, and people are only going to be able to do good work if they feel set up for success. And that comes with recognizing people's work. It comes with giving people agency and generating like buy-in and ownership. It comes with generating a space where people are able to advocate for their needs, right?
Absolutely.
And also speaking to each individual in a different way, because everyone's an individual and they have different modes of communication. Sometimes you need to be a little direct with somebody, and that's just what they want. Sometimes, someone might be in a little more, fragile place, or it's just knowing the personalities of the people that you surrounded yourself with, and then being a good steward of those around you, I think is, and that goes for everyone. That's not just like if you're a director or a producer, respecting and communicating with everyone you encounter in these environments is just so paramount.
One of my favorite definitions of being a producer is being the balancer of egos. And ego not in the egotistical self. It's the self. It's personality on a set. How do you bring
feeling
out
that? That's so true.
It's such a great example of what we do because, of course, there are line producers, there are creative producers. There's so much type of producing that you do. But at the end of the day, the producer is balancing and managing everyone's personality. And that can be a great thing. And that's why it's really important to have a producer that, can communicate with people. But it's also, it invites, a calm and a sense of fun into the space as long as everyone feels like they can be themselves and express that fully.
Absolutely. Well, we don't want to go too over the hour for you guys. But I would love to chat more about how you approach festivals, Zoe. How did you guys settle on what your tops were? How do you approach it? How do you approach which ones you go to first?
Yeah. So because Tin Soldiers was Aris's baby, as we talked about earlier, Aris really did set a lot of the festival precedents, like the ones that he wanted to submit to first, the ones that, were higher on our list versus, the safeties or the ones that we can return to and feel, like we have a sense of community there. But really for me, it always starts with an EPK, just making your press materials and making sure that you have every single one of your ducks in a row. Make sure you have that EPK that has production stills on there, your contact information, all of the facts and the figures. And we always love to include someone like in conversation with the director. If we have, an actor of name, conversation with them, just making sure that our film is showcased in the most beautiful light that we can. And another really important part about approaching the festivals is recognition. We need our film to be out there. We need the audience, that we have created when we started in pre-production. Who is this film for? It's for this set of people. You want to make sure when you're going into that process, you have that so clear, because then on the back end, that helps with getting, news articles or being on a podcast, doing interviews, anything like that. It creates a pathway for your production. And a
Yeah.
lot of festivals, I mean, there's so many fantastic festivals. Of course, there's the Big 8, but there's also a lot of really big, statewide festivals or citywide
Yes.
festivals that's still fantastic and notable. You just really want to start garnering that recognition. And Aris, you can talk a little bit about, how you chose the festivals or what your process was for that. But we really just, anytime we go into post-production, is we want to find different avenues to showcase our film, and that people, not only we get to see the film, but we get other people to see that film, and they get to share in that love of whatever the product that we've created was.
Definitely. I mean, I think when creating the festival strategy for Tin Soldiers or some of these other projects, it's really a question of, well, where does this film live? Kind of like we were talking about earlier. Every single festival has its own culture. Every single festival has its own typical audience that comes to attend. And so when you're creating your list, considering items like premiere status. Okay, well, like this is a really fun regional festival I want to go to, but it would ruin my premiere status for this larger festival. So I'm going to submit to the larger one first and then circle back next year for this other one. And also, again, it goes back to pre-production, aligning your production with your proposed festival schedule.
Yeah.
So that you're ending post at a time where you're able to just let this thing run. That's a lot of scheduling, a lot of calendar work.
I think one of the biggest things that we've learned in this process was that a lot of things that are considered post-production are actually pre-production. Aligning that festival strategy with how you're going to shoot, that's all stuff that you should think about immediately. That shouldn't be an afterthought, because if you want to get into a Tribeca, South by, those sorts of things, and you've already shot and it's 1 week until submissions are due, you're not doing that, or else you're going to...
Yeah, you got to be shooting in spring.
Exactly. And so it's just, that was one of the biggest things that I've learned just throughout our own trial by fire, is there's a lot of stuff that you think about at the end that has to be a forefront thought in your brain.
Yeah, I think, and also like when you get to these festivals, right? The biggest mistake that I think people make is they go to their screening and then they go to like whatever opening party there is, and then they're out. And no. Part of it is you have to be, what I do is I go and I look at the released films that are going to be at the festival before you go. You look at them, you say, okay, well, which art resonates with me, right? And you look at the filmmakers, okay, so who's kind of around me, right? You make a list of, films you're interested in, and then you go and you see them, and you talk and you connect with filmmakers. And while you're there, you say,
I saw your film.
Yeah, I saw your film, and then I also have a film, and that's great. Like, say, you're at a festival in Toronto. I mean, Makayla, but I've never been to Toronto. I don't know anyone in Toronto, except for like maybe you're around there. There's no built-in audience for that. So your social media and your advertising and also the people you're meeting at this festival, that's your audience.
Yeah. Frankly, how fun you are at a party. At the festival, people will be like, oh, we got to go see Aris's,
Absolutely.
The joy of a film festival and the value of a film festival is not really about your work even. It's about all the other people in the room and then what you can potentially do with them later. And so I think people can get so wrapped up in like, oh, my screening or this or that, that they miss out on just the treasure trove that is a film festival. I also think
like destigmatizing the word networking, like it's just meeting people. It's just being nice to people.
Community building.
Yes. You want people to see your film, but also like being in the Winter Film Festival right now, like we are loving every single film that is programmed.
It's such good programming.
Yeah.
Like we want to find those people. We're like, oh my gosh, your film was so good. We had so much fun watching it. And then, you just talk to people. And if there's ever an opportunity to collaborate in the future, that's fantastic, but that's not the given. You never want to go into a festival and be like, my goal is to network with 15 people and have 3 of them on my set. No, it's let's meet people. Let's find other fellow creatives that love to tell stories who make fantastic work so that you can support them.
Networking is the long game. It's not about, people take this really utilitarian approach to networking that I think is kind of gross. And I don't, it's what can you give me? And no, it's find someone who I think like you think does great work. And then even if you don't have something that aligns collaboratively at the moment, fine. Keep in contact. Congratulate them on the work that they're doing. Go and watch the work that they're doing. Invest in a relationship. Grab coffee and create something that's a genuine undergirding. And then guess what? 2 years later, oh wow, there's a perfect collaboration opportunity.
Yeah,
but
the thing comes up.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone wants it quick, and they want it utilitarian. They want it like, what
Yeah.
can you do for me? Like, and I've had meetings like that where I've met someone, and you know, it doesn't serve. It doesn't
This
serve.
also it can be a really lonely industry to be in. You're serving, your project and like maybe the 5 people who you're super close to on that
Yeah.
set. When you get to be close and create a community with other people, it lightens the load and it makes it really enjoyable to go to, sometimes those networking events can be daunting. They can be a little intimidating and anxiety inducing. But when you go in knowing that I just want to meet people, I want to make friends.
Yeah.
Like I love
Yeah.
making friends. I love to meet new people. That's really what it is at the end of the day.
And
For sure.
people that make the job easier, not harder.
Again,
100%.
managing those egos. You don't want to have to manage a bad ego. You want to manage a fantastic ego. You want to work with fantastic people.
Yeah.
That's what you want to manage. You don't want to worry about Susie and Sally are fighting again. What are we going to do
No.
here? No.
Yeah.
Susie and
Well,
Sally should be having a dance party.
It impedes everyone's
Yes.
ability to get good work done. It does.
Yeah.
It bleeds into everyone else's psyche as well.
And how
Yeah.
are you supposed to take risks on set as a DP, as a director, as an actor? How are you supposed to feel free to take risks if there is negativity on set? If
You don't.
someone's
Yes.
talking about
Yes.
being cringy, like you want your set, you want your rehearsals, you want everything to be the place where you can fail.
Yeah.
Well, and that's just part of being a
Risk
professional.
failing. Yeah.
You know, like creating that space.
Yeah.
You're
100%.
100% right. Like when people aren't feeling free to take risks, like that's a fantastic way of putting it, Kat.
Yeah. Sorry, I got heated.
No, get heated.
It's so
It
important.
makes for a good
Heated
episode.
rivalry, the film festivals
Yeah,
version.
film festival edition.
I feel like I can talk to you both for like hours more. So we'll have to have you on for another episode.
Would love to.
Yes, yes,
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
This was awesome.
Oh
I've
my
had
God.
so much fun.
I know.
Thank
Literally, this conversation could go on for ages. Do you want to give us, where can people follow you? Do you want to, we'll have the links and everything in our description box, on our website, on our Instagram, but we want to say it so they can hear it.
Find us at Blue Oak Productions on Instagram and on LinkedIn.
And our
Ooh.
website is www.blueoakproductions.com. And if we've got any medical device sales companies in the audience here,
The odds are low, but possible.
you never know.
You never know.
True, you never
That
know.
would be
True.
echogrovemedia.com as well. Just our production title names,
Fabulous.
either at on Instagram or www.com.
And do you have public personal Instagrams you would like people to follow you at, or no?
You can find me at Aris Federman. I'm always posting fun filmmaker tips and also
Yes,
goofy
you
things from my travel, and also photos of me and Zoe going on dates and such. So
Yeah.
We have fun. Mine's Zoe Dunay, ZoeDunay. And I'm on Instagram, not TikTok, but maybe someday.
We will get a photo of the Midwest cookie table, right?
Oh, yeah. That'll be all over the Instagram.
if
worry.
I haven't done my damage to it first, if someone can get
yeah.
there with the camera before I've gone through and scoured it like a
150
locust
dozen of
swarm,
cookies.
then yes.
Yeah.
If your wedding videographer is listening to this, this is your challenge.
Cookie table.
Cookie table, important.
Aris, you mentioned your Instagram really quickly and your TikTok. I know one of my favorite videos that you did was travel tips when you are traveling with a lot of gear. Do you want to just like rapid fire shoot some off?
Yeah, so we travel with gear all the time. I'm gonna literally pull up the post so I can
So
read
much gear.
pieces of that. Yeah, we travel with stuff all the time. Hundreds of pounds of gear, fragile stuff, and so it can be daunting because flying's stressful already. Now imagine trying to do all of that, and so.
Wow.
Number one, avoid gate checking your carry-on. And this is something that people get freaked out by. They'll have like their camera and their carry-on, lenses, etc. And they'll say, sorry, we're out of overhead room. You got to check this. There's no way I'm checking this bag.
I have
with you right
fought the flight attendant
Yeah.
over this.
So what you can actually what you do is, and this goes back to people, if you approach
I've
people
used this because of your
Yeah.
post. I've used this.
Did it work? Did it
It
work?
did. Yes.
Yes. Well, you basically you go before you say, hey, how full is the flight? They're like, oh, it's pretty full because they're always very full. And then say,
Always.
well, listen, I'm a filmmaker. This is sensitive equipment, but more importantly than that, it is full of lithium-ion batteries.
Yes.
And then they'll say, okay, just go on with like group one or go on with, and they'll find a way because, they don't want to be the person who put, a potential explosive material in the bottom of the plane. And it goes back to just being nice and getting in there, cracking jokes, saying you appreciate them and approaching them in a non-hectic moment.
Yeah.
Versus when you're getting on the
that's so
actual
smart
plane
to
and fighting them,
preemptively-
and there's a people behind you. Yeah.
Get
Number
there
two,
a little early if you can to do that.
Number two is media bag rates. So this one's huge. You can go and if you have like a production company or production business, take your make yourself an ID, a media badge, do it on Canva, right? And then present it to the airline when you're checking your luggage. Every airline has a media bag rate, and it's like they don't care about the weight of the bag anymore. There's no additional charge, and it's like a flat fee between $30 and $50. And I've genuinely had I've gone to check bags, and I've gone from like a $950 charge to $150 just based on the media pass alone. And so
Wow.
some airlines
Hot
put
tip.
like special fragile stickers on it, and it's treated a little differently.
Also to overweight baggage too. Sometimes you have to go to that section.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then renting heavy gear at your destination. As a guy who's flown with C-stands multiple times, why?
No.
Don't do that. That's so
Rent
dumb.
'em.
That's so silly. I know. I was like, man, my cool C-stand case. It's so beautiful. It's so new. Don't do that. That's so silly. Rent it at your
Don't worry about
destination.
the Uber when you get there. That C-stand case probably won't fit in your small Toyota Corolla.
100%.
Get
that
Wow.
Uber XL,
Real,
with the
real.
Uber XXL. And then TSA, they're always going to be playing games with your gear. You can take out large flat items in advance, things like batteries, etc., and place them in their own bin. And the odds that you get stopped significantly drop. 90% of the times when they stop you, it's because they can't see through an item, not because something looks like suspicious.
Yeah.
They know what a camera looks like, right? And so that's just something to keep in mind. And you can also request a hand check. Give the bag over to a TSA agent and say, can you hand check this? As opposed to going through the X-ray scan. It'll save you a lot of time. And like the last tip on this post is just really like be kind, because patience and humor and appreciation go a long way. Everyone's trying to do their jobs. It is a stressful environment. If you bring a moment of serenity or a smile to someone, the odds that they're going to go the extra mile for you exponentially increase.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you
That's
for
only-
those.
like
They're such
five
good
things.
tips.
I might have had them like mush mouth. I was trying to get them out really quickly.
No,
Yeah.
they're so good. Guys, thank you so much for being here. We will definitely have you back on to just talk more because we could do this all day.
I love it. Thank you
This
guys.
was
We're
such a
happy to
day.
come back.
Yeah,
Thank
this
you.
was so
Thank you so much.
fun.
And we love listening to your podcast too.
Yeah, no, we're also listeners.
you.
So, everybody listen to this podcast. I guess I'm already telling this to your audience. They're already here listening,
I
but
think if they made it the hour and 20 minutes, then thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Aris, Zoe, Derek Graham Sound for all your composition needs.
Dude.